Oh, howdy all, grab yourselves a beer. It is time for some Path of Exile discussion. Today, I want to talk about Alva's Corruption Chamber and what is worth double corrupting in the current state of the game economy. Now, the question of what to double corrupt is something that I've been asked a lot, and the answer changes all the time. Every league economy, it's different. If you ask me the answer in Legion League, I would have said one thing. If you'd asked me in Blight, I would have said without a question, it's the Triad Grip mesh gloves. However, I think there is a clear frontrunner and two clear second and third best items to use your double corruptions on when you get them. So quick recap, you'll get these by running Alva's missions in maps. They're pretty rare, you'll get one roughly. If you always focus on upgrading the Corruption Chamber when it's available, you will get one about every 4 Alva temples on average, in my experience. People's experience does vary here. Now, the 3 things that I want to suggest that you consider double corrupting in the current league economy. The first one is popular, powerful, unique jewels. Now, the one that I've pulled out here is a well-rolled Thread of Hope. However, that's not the only option. It doesn't need to be a unique. It can be a cluster jewel. Cluster jewels that have the herald that do all of the heraldry brokenness are a really good example here. So, one that has any 2 of Purposeful Harbinger, Endbringer, and Heraldry will be a really strong option. It is worth saying though that Thread of Hope is relatively cheap. I picked up this really well-rolled one for only 55 chaos. I think I got an absolute steal there, but even then, even if you paid an Exalt for this, it's something that's a very acceptable risk once you're at the point in a league where you can feed a Thread of Hope to Alva's altar, and so it's something that you can definitely get away with turning in. So that's the first option, is popular, universal, unique jewels. You're shooting here in the current league economy for -1% mana reservation, which is explosively powerful, but even if you don't get it, a lot of the other corruptions are good, and because you go for a general purpose unique jewel, not something that's like, say, a Frostbolt specific unique jewel, pretty much any of the elemental penetration mods might not be useful to your build, but they will be to someone else's. The second option that I want to point out is what I feel is the number 2 choice now. And this was the number 1 choice for a long period of time, and it is the Triad Grip mesh gloves. Now, in the Blight League, minions were extraordinarily overpowered, and these gloves were incredible. The reason that these are good, most of the time when you're feeding an item to Alva's Double Corruption Chamber, what you are chasing is actually getting 2 implicit corruptions on them. However, with Triad Grip, it's a little bit different. What you're chasing here is getting all the sockets bleached to white. So, how do we get maximum value out of the possible outcomes from Alva's Chamber? Let's have a quick recap on what they are. The first possibility, 25% chance, is that your item is utterly destroyed. Well, there's no way of recovering from that. It's gone. The second is that it is re-rolled as an influenced rare item. So this might be a Crusader influenced rare, it might be a Shaper influenced rare. This is generally really detrimental, and most players refer to this as bricking the item. Bricking meaning turning it into a stupid, useless, overpriced ornament. The third thing that the Alva's Corruption Chamber can do is bleach all of the sockets to become white. And the fourth thing, and usually the most desired, is replace up to 1 implicit on the item if it has any, or if it doesn't have any, then it doesn't replace them, with 2 new Vaal implicits. So on an item like Triad Grip that has no implicit to begin with, it will gain 2 Vaal implicits in this case. On an item that has 1 Vaal implicit, it will, 1 non-Vaal implicit, such as Cospery's Malice, this unique foil, it will lose its 25% global crit multi and gain 2 of the Vaal implicits. Don't double corrupt Cospery's for what it's worth. It generally doesn't turn out that well. So, for Triad Grip, what you want to do is firstly prepare it. The way that you're going to prepare it, firstly you're going to stick some quality on it. Very cheap, very easy preparation. The next thing is that because one of the outcomes is turning all the sockets white, you want to make sure that you've got 4 sockets on the item. You can actually add and remove sockets later, but we're going to do it now. So now we have 4 sockets. It's not that important to link them before you corrupt it, although in the current league economy it is beneficial to do so, but it's not important. So there we go, we're linked. The next thing is that you want to turn all of the sockets the same color as each other. They don't need to be any specific color. The reason for this is that usually damage conversion is best when it's focused. So we want them all to turn white, and then all of the minion damage will be converted from physical to chaos. That's the ideal scenario. We may not get that, and we want to maximize the value that we get in the situations where we get 2 Vaal implicits. So we're going to use chromatic orbs until we get 4 of the same color. It doesn't matter what the color is, that's where we are. At this point, Triad Grip is ready. This has been prepared and it is ready to go into Alva's Corruption Chamber were we to have one available now. The third choice, however, and this is what I feel is the best option, is Prism Guardian. Prism Guardian is the absolutely busted in this metagame unique item. The reason it's so good, so firstly, socketed gems have 25% reduced mana reservation. This can get a lot of skill gems down to 0% mana reservation in the current meta where you can just stack so much of this stat. Note that it only applies to the socketed gems, but it is still available everywhere. The second thing is socketed gems have blood magic. Blood magic is really strong when you can control it on a build that is stacking a lot of mana reservation. You can get certain gems in your shield, but let's say you're not able to get your reservations down to 0 across the board, which practical purposes you can't. I think there is a meme build that can, but if you're unable to do it, which most people will be, then you can stick 3 expensive auras in Prism Guardian. Get their reservation down by 25% with the socketed gems have 25% reduced reservation line. Then use perhaps another 30 or 40% of universal reduced reservation costs on the rest of your gear. So let's actually say you're able to get 50%. Now at this point, you've got a total of 75% reduced reservation for all gems that are socketed in here. That means that you can run 3 auras that add to 150% of your mana, run them in this, and end up reserving about 45% of your life. This is incredibly powerful, and so Prism Guardian is already an extremely good unique item in this league. However, the thing that makes it even better is the potential with the implicits from the Corruption Chamber to get up to +2 to socketed aura gems, and also up to +1 to socketed gems. And also another possibility of getting up to +2 to the level of socketed AoE gems. All of these can allow you to push the level of your aura gems into the stratosphere. So a level 21 Purity of Fire aura that would provide you with 4% to increase to maximum fire resistance can be pushed up to 5 by getting its gem level up to 23. You only need one of the +2 levels, +2 to the level of socketed skill gems effects in Prism Guardian, and suddenly you've got level 23 purities in there. Alternately, if you get the amazing +2 to the level of aura gems and +2 to the level of AoE gems, you have hit an absolute monster of an item, something that's probably worth mirrors. And the reason for that is it will allow you to run level 25 or higher Hatred or Wrath, the auras that scale pretty much without limit. So for this reason, I would suggest that this is the outright best item to use the Double Corruption Altar on in the current game economy. And this, of course, is going to change after the Delirium League ends, because these broken builds are not going to stick around. So, in terms of preparing your items for the Double Corruption Altar, again, you want 20 quality. I've already done that on this one. If the item is well divined, and the only variable factor on this is the dexterity. If the dexterity is in the 29 to 30 range, then I would also suggest that you use 28 quality, which requires interacting with the betrayal system. Once you've done that, it's just a matter of 3-linking it. And, oh, we got it straight away for once. With fusings being this cheap, of course, fusings start working for me as soon as I try them. We don't actually need to bother with the colours, because a potential buyer for this item, if you do hit a magnificent double corrupt on it, or even just a good double corrupt where you get, say, +2 to the level of aura gems and some other mod like physical damage taken, or say reduced area damage taken from hits, or physical damage from hits taken as cold damage. Those are still good mods, but they're not outstanding. If you were to get something like that, then you'll have one type of buyer. If you got 2 of the plus level of aura gems, then you'll get a different type of buyer. But your buyer can recolor it with the crafting bench. It's pretty cheap to do that with a 3-link item. Anyway, so just to recap here, it's really simple. First up is to double corrupt a universal purpose jewel and or a herald jewel. So basically some sort of jewel, chasing the -1% mana reservation as your dream. Second is to double corrupt a 4-linked and monochrome Triad Grip, such as this 4-red Triad Grip, chasing the sockets being bleached to white. But if you don't bleach the sockets to white, you've still got a pretty solid outcome. And the best choice is to double corrupt a Prism Guardian. The best thing about this is that if you put a Prism Guardian in the altar and it goes bada boom and gets destroyed, you haven't lost much at all. It's a really cheap item because it's just not all that rare, and so it's a low risk for a potential extraordinarily high reward. That's the right type of risk to take. If you've got any comments or questions, though, fire away below.